welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Larissa Vaughn, and you're tuning into Queen Talk. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching my last video about my testimony. It's been like 2 years, so I saw a lot of people asking for a part two, and I had all the intention to upload my birth story, all this stuff, and then life just started lifing, and I'm just here. Happy New Year 2024. So I'm recommitting myself to YouTube. So you guys gonna hold me accountable. But I just wanna, recap. The last time I spoke to you guys, I was giving you guys a testimony about my son, my first son, and I'm actually 3 months postpartum. I just had my second son. So I'll be talking about that story here because I have another testimony of what God did in that pregnancy, because every single pregnancy is different, so you have to believe God on a different level for each and every pregnancy. So yeah, my son was born. He was healthy. He was born in June, my first son I'm talking about. After that whole episode, I had a normal pregnancy. It was great, actually. I mean, I had a good pregnancy. My first pregnancy was amazing. And now the birth story was a little, I ended up getting induced, one, and at the time I was living in Atlanta, and I gave birth at Emory Hospital, and that was interesting because like some of the nurses weren't all that great. My induction actually ended up being 5 days long, which is not normal at all. Like at any other hospital, because I was contending for my pregnancy and my birth, I wanted a natural vaginal birth. Like any other hospital would have cut me open, and I did not want to have no C-section at all. And that's my personal preference. I didn't want to have a C-section. So I guess I could tell you guys that birth story really quickly. So I was about 38 weeks pregnant with my first son, and I had a doctor's appointment that Monday. So that Monday I turned 38 weeks. So they count 37 weeks as full term. So I was pretty much full term, and it was the height of June. It was hot. And so I was getting ready one Monday morning, getting ready for my doctor's appointment. And I took a shower as normal, got out the shower, dried off really, really good. And then like I felt this water like trickling down. So I'm like, what is that? Like I know I dried off, but I'm like, what is that? So I bring it up at my doctor's appointment, and at this doctor's appointment, I wasn't necessarily seeing my doctor that I had been seeing this whole time. I was seeing like the chief of staff doctor. He was in for some reason, and for some reason I couldn't get an appointment with my regular OB. So I brought it up to him like, yeah, when I got out the shower this morning, like I thought I dried off really well, and I just felt like water trickling down my legs. Like, I just want to make sure that my water didn't break or anything like that. And so he started like kind of like not panicking, but he was like, oh, well, let's test for amniotic fluid and da da da. So they tested for the amniotic fluid. They did some like swab where if it turns blue, that means it's amniotic fluid. If it doesn't, that means it's just fluid. And so when you're pregnant, it's all the fluids in the world, child. So many fluids and stuff coming out. It's a lot. So I tested negative for that. They were like, well, let's check your amniotic fluid in general. So they brought out the sonographer and they checked my amniotic fluid, and they realized that my amniotic fluid was really low. And it was low. It wasn't really low, but it was low enough that the doctor was concerned about it. So he was like, first he had said, oh, it appears your water had broke. This was before he tested the quadrant. He said he didn't know why the amniotic fluid was low. It was just kind of confusing. So my husband gets up, calls my mom and his mom, and tells them that my water broke, when my water really didn't break. y'all. Like, so they're like preparing to fly down because our parents at the time, well, our family didn't live in Atlanta. So they're flying in, you know, getting prepared. Everybody's all frazzled. And I'm like, can I just get a second opinion? Because something wasn't right for me. I'm like, this is not making sense. Okay. I don't think it's my amniotic fluid. I mean, my water had broken. Like, I don't know. So, and I didn't want to get induced. Like, I had, at that time, I wanted like a supernatural birth. Like, you know, I was on my supernatural birth kick. Like, all this stuff, you know, I was really like in agreement with a supernatural birth experience, pain-free birth, all this stuff. So when he brought up induction, I was like, oh my God, no, I do not want to have an induction. So he brings in a second opinion, and person is from like, you know, whatever department for, I don't know, she's like a super stenographer for maternal women or whatever. And so she comes in and so she checks in your womb, you have like four quadrants of where the amniotic fluid sits within the whole entire uterus. So she checks it, and each sac is pretty low. I think you're supposed to have like 10. It's supposed to be at a level 10. I think mine was at a 5. It was a 3.5 in some places. So it was pretty low. And so, you know, I wasn't really feeling any like birth symptoms, like I was going to be giving birth anytime soon. My body wasn't ready. And so he was like, you have to get induced. And I was like, well, when? He's like, today, you know, you got to go into the hospital today. And I'm like, all of this was just a shock to me because I was not expecting to, you know, go to the doctor and then be told that I had to get induced. So I'm freaking out a little bit because I didn't want an induction in the first place. So I'm just trying to figure out what to do and trying to talk my way out of it. And so I ended up, we ended up going home. No, they did a non-stress test. Everything was fine. And then I went home. They said that the hospital beds were full. So I'm over here trying to pack up and stuff. That he called me, said that the hospital beds were full, that I would have to wait till tomorrow. So I was like, oh, thank God, because I just needed a minute to kind of process everything. So the next day comes, which is a Tuesday, and we end up going to the hospital that evening. And I had packed up the whole house. I was overpacking, you guys. I overpacked. And we got admitted to in the maternity ward, and we got the induction started. Now, I gotta tell y'all about this induction process because it was something else. So I had a little window to do a little research on inductions, right? And so I'm the type of person that likes to do research. I just am. Like, I'm going to research everything before it, you know, I'm just going to go in and like research. So I researched what I could. And so I had heard about the Folly balloon and how much it hurt and all this stuff. And it was, you know, I had to ask them what the process was. So they were like, I think they started me on something called Cervidil. And Cervidil is a medication that they insert into your vaginal wall. Like they insert it all the way up to your cervix, really. And it's supposed to help ripen your cervix. My cervix was not ripened at all. Like the baby, he was not ready to come out. And so they tried a series of that didn't work. So then they moved me on to another drug called Cytotec. I think you can have every 12 hours or so. And so they're starting me on this. So like day 1 and day 2, they're starting me on that, and it's kind of doing something, but not really. So then they're like, okay, well, let's try the Folly balloon. So I'm over here freaking out about the Folly balloon. So one midwife comes in, she inserts the Folly balloon, and this is a sped up version of the story, you guys. It's been 2 years, so bear with me. So anyways, the midwife comes in, she inserts the Folly balloon. 30 minutes later, it comes out. She inserted it wrong. So I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Then somebody else comes. They're like, what happened? Like, I think she came to tug on it and she ended up pulling it out. So it wasn't like near my cervix at all. It was just high up. And the goal of the Folly balloon is sits on top of the cervix so that it helps like open it up like that. So it adds pressure on there. So it's basically they put like not water, but like saline solution in it to expand the balloon on top of your cervix so that it basically like forces it kind of open, pries it open a little bit, which is crazy. But so another midwife comes, she inserts it, but she doesn't do it right either. So so I think we're probably on day three. Day three, you know, they're coming in. One midwife comes in and she's like, well, you know, she's like, I just see you. This is what she said. And this is when things shifted spiritually for me and shifted spiritually for my husband because we were not. So anyway, so a midwife comes in. At first, I liked this midwife. She was cool. And I had told her my birth plan. I did not want to have a C-section. I told everybody. Everybody knew that. Everybody was privy to that information. She comes walking in and she's like, you know what? Well, you know, I see you on the table. I see you on the operating table on getting a C-section. I just see that for you. And you know what? I didn't get about the bed because I was in the bed at this point. I had gotten no, I didn't. I don't think I got the epidural then. So she's like, yeah, I just see that for you. I just see you on the operating table getting a C-section. And I said, I had to rebuke her right then and there, y'all. Like, I was like, oh, well, I don't see that for myself and I don't receive that in the name of Jesus. I said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. That's what I said. And she just kind of like was quiet after that. And I was like, what you can do, we can, you know, I told her about the incident with the Folly balloon. I was like, it was not inserted properly. Both occasions, it wasn't inserted properly and nobody's been able to insert it right. So I was like, oh, hold on, you guys. Okay, so we have a visitor here, you guys. This is my new baby boy. His name is Kingston. He just woke up from a nap. I was like, what's that noise? So I had to rebuke the lady, right? And I was like, you know, how about this? How about we try to reinsert the Folly balloon? She's like, oh, I'm an expert at that. I can do that. You know, I'm an expert. I know how to do it properly, blah, blah, blah. I was like, great. So if you know how to do it properly, then let's get it done. And so, she ended up inserting. I was like, how about we do the Folly balloon with the Cytotec? The Cytotec is like a small pill you put in the cheek, you put in your cheek and it dissolves into your body stream or whatever. We ended up doing that and that started working. So we're on day 3, I think. So day 3 going into day 4. So they were going to do another round of Cytotec, and I think you have Cytotec every either 8 to 12 hours, something like that. And so after that comment that she made, I realized this was spiritual warfare. I realized that, okay, we are going up against something that we need to be praying. So my husband got on his face, okay, in his little prayer closet. It was the bathroom. He kept going in and out that bathroom. We were playing worship music inside of our suite or whatever, our room, and we were praying. You know, we were calling prayer warriors. Whoops, praying. Okay, I started praying. I had this sermon that I listened to, and it's no longer available on YouTube. I'm so upset about that. But at that time, it was a sermon from Jonathan Ferguson, Apostle Jonathan Ferguson, and he was just talking about birth in the spirit. And he was talking about, it was just like kind of dismantling things that would spiritually affect or prevent birth. So he was just kind of speaking to the atmosphere. So we played that into the atmosphere of our room, and things started to progress and they started to shift once we really got, down to the nitty gritty and realized, okay, something, we gotta put our prayer warrior, put on our full armor of God, because obviously the devil was trying it. And so we was praying, and so things started to progress. That night, I think I went to that must have been the fourth night then. Well, let me think about it. I'm gonna think. So that could have been the fourth day, or yeah, that might have been the third or fourth day. Maybe it was like the end of the third day going into the fourth day. And so that fourth day, I was progressing. I got to like 7 centimeters. I think, yeah, that night I was 7 centimeters. My water broke, and things were progressing. And I didn't care that I was playing the sermon. It was loud, y'all. And the nurses would come in and they'd just be like, oh, how people are like, But I didn't care. I had to set the atmosphere because all the nurses were just like, they was not filled with the Holy Spirit, okay? All the nurses were agents of the devil at that point. And I was not feeling none of them, the nurses, the midwives. It was a hot mess. And so anyways, that evening I ended up going into 7 centimeters. And at this point I had gotten the epidural, because who was gonna be on Pitocin with with no epidural, you guys? I got the Pitocin. And with Pitocin, so after they did the rounds of Cervidil and they get your cervix ripened, they give you Pitocin. And Pitocin is a drug that basically mimics oxytocin. So it's basically the chemical version, like the man-made version of oxytocin, which is responsible for helping you progress in labor and to dilate. So they started, and I, at the time, I heard that Pitocin, well, this was even, no, I think I started feeling the contractions, and I was like, I'm not doing it, because I heard that they were worse than natural contractions. So I was like, I'm not gonna do it. And I think I was just I was kind of scared of the unknown, and I know fear can definitely impact your birthing experience. And I was preparing so much to have a fearless birth, but I was caught off guard with the induction. I was caught off guard with everything. So at this point, I just kind of surrendered to God and asked for him to be with me within that place, even though I didn't plan for that kind of birth and that particular road to go on. Like, that's not what I was preparing for. In that moment, I had to redirect everything, redirect my prayers, and really ask God to intervene on my behalf and to be with us in the midst, even though plans changed, and sometimes you have to be willing to kind of alter your birth plan, because it might not go the way that you want it to go, but you have to ask God to be there in every step of the way, So that night, I'm progressing, thank God, and by the morning time, I think I'm still at like, this is wee hours in the morning, so 1 a.m. I think they checked me, I was around 7. And when I got up that morning, they came in around 9 a.m. and it was a Sunday morning, and it was Father's Day. Actually, it was Father's Day. It was June 20th, Father's Day. All the doctors came in that morning, and the night before, the midwife, she gave me Benadryl because she said that my temperature was up and it seemed like I had been getting an infection. Well, they were checking me every 2 minutes. I had all this medicine going on. Of course, there's probably some type of infection, you know what I mean? Or something going on. I don't know. But my temperature had risen, and she gave me some Benadryl. The Benadryl knocked me out, okay? But that helped me to get some rest and progress a lot. And so that morning, they came in and they had made up in their mind that I needed to have a C-section because I had been there for 5 days at that point. The 20th made it 5 days. And so I was asking them questions. I was like, I really don't want to have a C-section and blah, blah, blah. They were like, I'm sorry, but you're going to have a C-section, da, da, da. And at that point, the epidural had worn off. So I could feel my legs. I could feel everything. Like before, I was numbed out. I couldn't feel anything. But now, I could feel everything. And so I was like, well, before we do that, like, I was like, are y'all putting me to sleep? Like, how is this going to work? And so, like, I had questions about it. And so they're like, no, you don't go to sleep, da, 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 da. And I was like, well, I can feel everything. Like, my epidural has worn off. And so they're like, well, let me call the anesthesiologist. So they call in the anesthesiologist and they come in to check me and they're asking me all these questions. If I could feel them touch me on my belly and all this stuff. I'm like, yes, I can feel it. They put ice on me. Can you feel the ice? I said, yes, I can feel it. They're like, they run a needle on my leg. They're like, can you feel it? I'm like, yes, I can feel it. And they're like, okay, I think I might have said it was a 9 out of 10 or so. They're like, okay, well, it's still working then. And I'm just like, no, you guys, it's not. Like, I can literally move my legs in the bed when before I was not able to move my legs. Like, I was stuck. So it had completely worn off. So anyway, so they get paged. This is when God intervened. Because at that moment, I was starting to pray. I was like, Lord, I've had all the interventions. I've had every single type of intervention there is. I need divine intervention. I need you to come and I need you to help me. I need you to bring my baby on this side. I need you in this moment. Like, I need you. And so they get called in for an emergency into the OR. And so they had told my husband that we needed to get out the room, move everything over to the OR side and some other room. So my husband is gathering up all my stuff. Him and my mom are gathering up all my stuff. And once everybody's like out of the room, I start having contractions back to back. And they would just come in like every 2 minutes. And I'm like, okay, something's happening. And so I started feeling them like I was like, ooh, something's happening. And so the nurse comes in. She's like, okay, I'm here to prep you for your surgery. I'm here to prep you for the C-section. So she started prepping me and I'm having contractions. And I was like, I'm having contractions back to back. She's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You're going to get a C-section anyway. So it doesn't really matter. And I was like, it does matter, I was like, can you check them on the monitor? Like, she's like, yeah, they look pretty close, but you're about to get, you're on schedule for a C-section anyways. And then she walked out. So I'm in the bed dealing with these contractions. At this point, this is when something clicked on that I'm in active labor. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm in active labor. And so I'm in active labor and I'm like hot. I'm hot and the contractions are like, I'm like gripping the bed, all of this stuff. Because you guys, here's the thing about how do I want to put this? For me, here's the thing about birth and pain and a pain-free birth. Like, I don't want to say people be lying, but like, it's kind of from my experience of giving birth 2 times, I cannot tell you that it does not hurt. Like, I can't tell you that contractions don't hurt. Like, I can't tell you that. Is it bearable? Can you get through them? Yes. But does it hurt? Yes, it does hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we got to stop the romanticizing of a natural birth, because I went into this thinking that like it wasn't supposed to. Well, I don't know. I kind of believe that. Like, I try to make myself believe like it wasn't supposed to hurt. Birth's not supposed to hurt. All this stuff. All these people telling me it's pain. They had a pain-free birth. I don't. At this point, I don't think so, you guys. I think y'all are capping a little bit, because when I was in active labor, now let me tell you, now contractions prior to active labor are different. Okay, so once you hit active labor contractions, that's a different type of contraction, honey, and that's a different level of pain. Okay, it really is. It's a different level of pain, because you literally feel your body, like you feel the baby coming down and like into your pelvis, and like literally you have the urge to push. You know, you have this urge to like push, and when you're having the contractions, like that's all you feel, like you had to push. So this is happening for me over like a span of 20 minutes. I went from 7 to 10 centimeters in like 20-30 minutes, right? Because when they checked me that morning, I was still 7 centimeters. So I won't even say 30 minutes. It seemed like it went fast, but it was like maybe an hour and a half. I would say like an hour and a half, because they came in around 9:30, within the 9 o'clock hour. And I had my son at 11:15 a.m. So they came in around sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. I don't know if it was beginning of 9 or the middle or the end, whatever. I just knew it was sometime in the 9 o'clock hour. So within that 10 o'clock hour, that's when they got dispatched to the OR room for the emergency. And then that's when I went into active labor. My husband and my mom are moving things in and out, and I'm over here on the bed. I'm in the room by myself. It's just me and God at this point. And he had removed everybody out the room. It's me and God at this point. And I'm gripping the bed. I'm in active labor, and I start feeling the baby. I start feeling this urge to push. I start feeling, I'm like, oh my God, like he's coming. Like I gotta push. And they still have me on the bed. Nobody came to check on me. I couldn't even hit the button. And my husband comes in. He comes back in after going back to the room to move stuff. So he's coming in, and I'm like, I need somebody, you know, he's coming. I have to push. And my mom comes in the room, and she sees me. I'm hot. I'm like, can you fan me, please? Like, I'm burning up hot. And so she's fanning me. And my husband goes back out, and she said that he ran into I don't even know what happened in that moment. It's kind of unclear. He just said some lady appeared. Oh no, a lady came in our room, but there was like a closet by the door that all these nurses kept going in and out of. So it was like some sort of utility closet or something in our room for some reason. And a lady who doesn't even work on our floor, I believe, or like she didn't work in the department, like she wasn't working with us, she wasn't one of my nurses, but she came in the room to get something to bring it somewhere else. I don't know, something like that. But this is how God works, because he'll send angels in the room. I've had this happen plenty of times in my life, where he sends people into your rooms. He sends in, especially in the hospital, like he'll send people in there to assist you. And so this lady came in, and my husband told her like, hey, you know, I think my wife is like, the baby's coming. She says she got to push. And so she's like, oh my God, okay, let me check her. So she ends up checking me. She's like, yeah, you're fully dilated. And I was like, okay. And so at this point, I'm out of it, because I don't even know who's who. I thought he was telling me it was some other lady. It wasn't our nurse. I thought it was our nurse. I don't know. At this point, so then the doctor comes in, and her name is Angela Walker. She had a cross on her neck, and she was like, okay, let me check you. So let me back up a little bit, because with my particular insurance, how they do it in Atlanta is that the midwives deliver the babies and the doctors perform surgery. So they do C-sections and things of that nature. The doctors don't really handle and deliver babies at all. So it's usually the midwives. So I had been dealing with midwives this whole time, and I was kind of over it. So a doctor came in because she was gonna, I guess she had me on her roster to do the surgery. And so she had heard what had been going on. And so by this time they were done with whoever they had their emergency with. And so Dr. Angela Walker came in and she was like, let me check her. And so she checked me and she said, okay, you're complete. And I said, amen. And she said, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. And I said, yes, they do. And so she was, all right, let's get ready to have this baby. So they start setting up or whatever. I'm still feeling like I gotta push. She's like, all right, don't push him out yet. But, like she's getting set up and everything. I'm still having contractions, still having to push and stuff like that. And so we ended up pushing. And my baby was born. I was pushing for maybe about 20 minutes or so. It's hard to kind of like tell time, but like I had to push him out. And before getting pregnant, like years ago when I was younger, I used to always kind of be scared of the fact of like you have to push a baby out. Like I always used to be not freaked out, but just scared, you know what I mean? And in that moment, the fear went away and I did it. And I pushed my baby out, and I just thank God because I didn't have to get a C-section. Even though they were preparing me to be on that bed, I didn't have to get a C-section. And God intervened for me in that moment. And that was such a blessing. And I was able to bring my baby earthside, and I pushed that baby out. Now, I think I did have like a 1st-degree tear. I had like a 1st-degree tear. It wasn't nothing crazy, but I had a crazy adrenaline rush afterwards. And so because the epidural had worn off, you guys, I was able to walk right afterwards. So I got up, went to the bathroom, maybe, after they cleaned me up and everything like that and did the stitches and stuff like that. But yeah, my baby was born. His name is Cairo, and it means victorious one. And he was born. And maybe what I can do, because I do have the footage of like my like I kind of vlogged the birth, so I'll still upload that. I just have to put it all together, you guys. My nose was like my nose was it was huge, you guys. So I'll kind of look crazy in that video, but to God be the glory, okay? But yeah, he intervened, and that is a blessing. Now, I don't know if I should do all of it in one video or if I should do a separate video for the second birth and the second pregnancy. I think I might do that. So that was my birth story. That's the part 2 to how God gave me my baby back and how he brought him earthside, okay, from the miscarriage. So this is the rainbow baby story, you guys. And we went home. He was born at I was 38 and 5 days. So yeah, we brought him home, and he was fine, healthy, strong. Now he's a toddler and he is active, okay, and he be toddlering. So I have my hands really, really full because it's kind of crazy having a newborn and a toddler. It's a blessing, but toddlers are something else. Nobody tells you about the toddler phase, you guys. Like having the newborn and the baby phase is peaches. Like you might not get a lot of sleep, but it's not that bad. But toddlers require so much of you if you're at home with them all the time. Right now I'm at home with him, and he gets his homeschooling, if you will, and he's not in daycare right now, so it's both of them at the same time. And it took a while for him to kind of adjust to being a big brother, but he's doing a really good job, so I'm excited about that. So yeah, I think that's about it as far as his birth story. So I'm going to share my other testimony in this next video. And I will see you guys next time, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and share. If you see my lipstick, this is from my cosmetic line. It's called Polished Beauty Cosmetics. And I am wearing, it's a faith-based, let me just tell you guys, it's a faith-based beauty brand. So right now I'm wearing Bible lip liner with caramel matte lipstick. It's like a matte lip gloss lipstick. And it's like a nude. It's like a nice little like peachy kind of, it's like a nice brown nude. Here, let me show you guys. This is what it looks like. So yeah, this is a nice little nude color I got. And if you want to shop at Polished Beauty Cosmetics, you can just click the link in my description and order. We'll send it out. We have so many different colors, and I'll do a separate video on that too, because of course you guys don't know that. I haven't shared that with you guys, but I'm a makeup artist. I've been a beauty professional for years, and this is something that God had told me to birth, and I started it in the pandemic, and it has evolved, and now we're selling online. So you can visit online at polishedbeautycosmetics.com, and you can follow us on Instagram as well, polishedbeautylux.com. So I'll have all of that in the description. So each video I'll probably be wearing a different color and things like that, but this is my we're doing a nude lip on today, and we have glosses, nudes, mattes, all of it, if you will. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Oh my God, I love you guys, and I will be accountable. And I got a new phone too, so I got more storage, and I'm just gonna make time to be able to record YouTube videos because it's important and it's an assignment. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video.